41 cases, eve teasing 36 cases alone. And so the question today we are asking, is Karnataka failing its daughters? With the latest murder being a chilling reminder of the Shraddha Valkar case. This is the question we'll be posing to our guests.
Police are not very sure on whether the assailant killed her here and cut her body into multiple pieces, because they haven't found any major blood mark, blood stain over there, apart from the one that is seen coming from the fridge whenever there was a power cut.
Crime suspect has already been identified. We have to physically arrest him. Only then we will know further details.
1,500 हीनस ऑफेंस हुआ है कर्नाटक में. उसमें हीनस मर्डर्स से लेकर लगभग 1,500. कहाँ पे है लैंड ऑर्डर?
Right, I take a moment to introduce my panelists today. I'm joined in by Mr. Bhaskar Rao, who's the spokesperson for BJP Karnataka and former Bangalore Police Commissioner as well. Shatabesh Shivanna, who's the spokesperson for the Congress in Karnataka, and Ms. Cynthia Stephen, who's an activist. Thank you so much, Cynthia and the gentlemen, for joining in. Shatabesh, if you heard what C.T. Ravi has to say, he's talking about 1,500 heinous crimes that have taken place ever since the Congress government came to power. How do you assess the attack coming in from the BJP?
See, these are crimes committed against society. These are crimes committed against women. So I, as the spokesperson of the Congress party, won't reduce my dignity and indulge in the politics of blame. I can point out a number of crimes that have been committed during the BJP dispensation. In fact, there was a report called Nari Shakti, Myth and Reality that stated that crimes against women rose in 10 years of the PM Modi's rule. But from 56.3% in 2014 to 66.4% in 2022. But I'm not going to reduce myself and speak or indulge in this blame game. The fact that a 29-year-old woman has been brutally murdered and her body has been chopped into pieces and it was stored in a refrigerator is gory, gruesome and ghastly, right? And our empathy goes out to the family of the deceased. The state government in Karnataka and the Congress party condemns all these crimes in society, especially those against women. And we will leave no stone unturned in ensuring that the perpetrators of the crime are brought to justice. And let me remind you, the Karnataka Home Minister, Dr. G. Parmeshwar, has already stated that the primary suspect or the prime suspect in this matter has been identified in West Bengal and colossal efforts are ongoing in order to nab this person. 6 special teams as reported by you and 4 special teams to probe this particular murder case alone and to crack it as expeditiously as possible. We will ensure that there is a thorough investigation and a time-bound investigation. As an advocate, I see multiple criminal angles in this facet. There is a husband and there is this woman who has indulged in extramarital affairs. There is more cause for him to have committed this murder. There are multiple angles. I won't get into the merits of the issue.
Right now, that's fairly nascent, because remember, till the suspect is not arrested, we cannot really go and probe into those nitty-gritties. But Bhaskar Rao, I'm going to bring you in. You know, the defense that's coming in is that if this were to be a murder which was committed under broad daylight, perhaps you could still raise fingers at the party in power. But this is one murder that was very closely, it's a cold-blooded murder, first-degree murder that's been planned, and that too committed by a live-in partner. In such cases, how can the government of the state be held responsible? That's a defense coming in from the Congress party.
May I see? At the outset, I am absolutely shocked at the casual and ridiculous response of the Congress spokesperson, who is rattling out saying that the best efforts are being carried out. See, the most important aspect is to build a secure environment for women. There has to be an ecosystem of safety. This government has been given 136 seats after having rejected BJP and confidence having posed in this government. And as you have already rattled a number of statistics that in the past few days what has happened. What is it that the present Home Minister has done? There is no point in the Police Commissioner and the Home Minister saying what all they have done. A woman should feel secure that I am secure. That is the actual test, instead of people traveling in escort and pilot and telling that women of Karnataka are safe. One by one, day by day, this is happening. And this has happened to a woman from Bihar, a woman from Nepal, a woman from West Bengal. So, there is some kind of a hesitation for police to give protection because they don't have the wherewithal and infrastructure. You cannot blame the police because they are doing their job as fast as possible. There is something about the police, like an administration, like someone who gives an ecosystem of working.
All right.
Thousands of police constables, please listen to me, thousands of police constable positions are lying vacant. Mr. Parameshwar has been one of the worst home ministers who has given the poorest quality of leadership. Pardon me, so I have also worked under Mr. Parameshwar and I have not seen any kind of qualitative leadership in him to give or to create some kind of confidence. And the Congress representative says the culprit has been detected, we are going to send, we are going to bring and all that.
Right.
This is all nonsense.
Shatabish, I'd like to bring you in because, you know, a lot of questions are also being raised towards... No, I'm going to give you more time to speak. I'm going to give you more time to speak, Bhaskar Rao. But Shatabish, you know, questions are also being posed towards the Home Minister because, you know, whenever there's stone pelting happening, he says that the stone pelting was accidental.
Takes it so casually.
In this
No
case, he's
regard for
saying that
common
he will
people's
not
security.
comment, with it, which is why also... do you not think that the Congress party has an added responsibility, considering your victory last year in the assembly elections was governed by the women voter? Do you not think that you have betrayed the women vote? Even in the Lok Sabha election, you had an edge because of the women voters.
I really condemn the fact that there are certain elements, even though they belong to our own state, who are trying to project the state of Karnataka as a state that is unsafe for women. I would absolutely deny it. I would say the Congress government is doing the best that it could to ensure safe atmosphere for women and you know...
without politicizing this entire matter, Shatabish, let me tell you, this is the 7th heinous killing. In September alone, a girl was brutally raped and murdered. In September alone, her body discovered, 19-year-old girl in Bidar. This is the 7th killing, and in Bidar, they've still not been able to crack the case. I'd like to, in fact, also draw your attention and Mr. Parmeshwara's attention as well. Why is that case unresolved? Neha Hiremat's case is still unresolved. It happened in April of this year. 7th case.
You want me to list out the number?
So why are you saying that women are not unsafe? They are very much unsafe in Karnataka.
Draw me and you know, lower my dignity in comparing one state government's efforts to another state government's efforts.
Let's talk about Karnataka right now. Let's talk about Karnataka.
The state, we are all equally responsible to ensure that we provide a safe environment for our women. Now, I just mentioned to you that the crimes against women has risen up multifold in the 10-year rule of the BJP government at the center, from 56.3% to 66.4%. What you have to say to that?
You have been voted in Karnataka.
All political
Answer for
parties must come
Karnataka.
together and
Answer
ensure
for
that we provide a safe
Karnataka. Women
environment
are
for our
dying,
women.
getting
We can't
intimidated,
indulge
getting
in the
killed,
politics of
and you are
blame.
talking about BJP. BJP is already gone. People have rejected BJP. They have brought you inside. You answer what you are
Mr.
going
Rao,
to do
let
for the
Mr.
security
Shivana
of the
make his
people of
point.
Karnataka.
I'll give you time to speak. Mr. Rao, please. I urge you to let Mr. Shivana speak.
See, there are people who are trying to give a communal color to this, to infuse communal disharmony. All political parties must come together and behave constructively to ensure that we provide a safe environment for our women. Now, I can give you a list of crimes that have been that were perpetrated during the BJP dispensation. But
Don't talk
what
about BJP.
will I
BJP is over.
achieve?
Talk
What
about your
will I
government.
achieve?
You are in power.
You won't achieve
People
anything.
have given you
The
136
Home Minister of the day
Answer on the point now.
Interrupt me, I didn't interrupt you, sir.
It is your government which is sitting
Cynthia
on the
Stephen,
driving seat.
Cynthia Stephen. All right, let's also listen into what the woman on this panel has to say. Gentlemen, let's allow Cynthia also some time to speak. First of all, thank you, Cynthia, for so patiently awaiting your turn. First of all, do you think that this has been a colossal failure of the criminal jurisprudence in our country?
Why are you moving around, Dad?
Can you hear me, Cynthia?
Yes.
I'm talking about, if you talk about the law and order situation, do you think that what we are witnessing today is a colossal failure of the criminal justice system in our nation? Because there is no rigorous deterrent, which is why such kind of lawlessness continues to take place unabated, especially after the Shraddha Valkar case, where Shraddha's father is still awaiting justice.
Absolutely. It is indeed a failure of the criminal justice system. And I must say that I'm terribly disappointed by the kind of tutu meme that is being indulged in by the, my fellow panelists, because this is really not about which party ruled and what happened during which party was ruling. This has been an incessant part of our society. Violence, by men against women has been a reality in the society, mainly because of the impunity that has followed when a serious crime against a woman has taken place. And I would say that while society has a large portion of the blame, the establishment of the courts and the law and order situation, as well as the political leadership, all three have a very large role to play in this kind of, lingering and escalating levels of violence that women are facing in the country. And so the kind of impunity that happens, even now, I've been an activist for 30 or so years, since a very young age. And in Karnataka, we have seen we are a better police state actually than the other places. And even here, only now, after a long time, do we see a good, response to the way in which police receive women's complaints. But that is because people like us go and try to file. If you ask any common woman to go, they will mainly discourage a woman from filing a complaint.
All right.
And so then that is the reason why women hesitate even to apply. So we are talking about numbers. What about what is not recorded? These are recorded numbers. There are many times more crimes which are perpetrated, which never make it into the stats. And so this is basically, so I'm not saying that A party or B party is the entire, or one particular system is to blame. It is an entire, ecosystem that the sense of impunity, society does not take this kind of violence seriously enough.
Bhaskar, as a former Bengaluru police commissioner, I'm sure you'll agree that there is no example to follow over here. There are no deterrents, despite having a Justice Verma Commission report, which categorically states that such heinous crimes need to be wrapped up, as far as fast tracking of such cases is concerned, should be done within 9 to 12 months.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. See, I will tell you, I have been mentioning, even when I was Commissioner of Police over there and earlier also, who is the officer in the office of Director General of Police, who is there to give policy and dictate policy for women's security? Nobody. Till date, we don't have anybody. I have been telling this despite earlier there being a lady Director General of Police also over there. There is a Women's Commission, etc., which are there. But the response to a woman's distress is not satisfactory. And as you rightly mentioned, the ecosystem of security has to be created. See, when I had the opportunity of heading the city, we started with islands of security. We don't need islands of security. Women don't hop between islands. They need to seamlessly work from morning till evening, leave their home and come and work. And victim shaming, which the Congress person has been mentioning, that it will happen. We should not ever mention the victim's activities, whether it is extramarital or post-marital or pre-marital. A woman has got a right to live her life according to her her standard.
True.
We have to just give security. The men have to be reined in. Punishments have to be fast-tracked. Trials have to be updated. That is what I'm telling. The Home Minister should have taken a lot of interest. Till now, you see, there are more than 4,500 vacancies of police sub-inspectors lying over there. Or 20,000 police constables are lying. all this, it cannot be done by the police department. It is the government of the day. And blaming the previous government is not the solution. You are in the driving seat now. Let us not bring politics inside. If you think Mr. Parameshwar is a capable minister, let him go to the chief minister and say, I want to see that women have got the topmost security.
Cynthia Stephen
women's
wants to make a
security is not
point.
just the responsibility of the police department. We need
Yeah. I
proper
would
public
just-
transport, well illuminated roads.
No, not
And
just public
most of other
transport,
things to keep women
considering they
secure.
found...
Let the government do this.
No, considering they found a bag next to the refrigerator, a possibility that the murder was committed inside the
Madam, let us
apartment
not get into
has already been
investigation.
ruled out. No, the question arises is how was the person able to transport 50 pieces chopped into of the body inside the residence?
Yeah, even that is also a failure of law and order. See, as regard the crime is concerned, Dayanand, my younger colleague, the Commissioner of Police and his team will definitely detect. That is not the issue. The issue is how long can you keep on tolerating like this? Will another Mahalakshmi and another Shraddha Walkar and another girl is she
All
been
right,
waiting?
I'm going to
waiting
give
be chopped or what?
Cynthia
You have to stop this.
time to share her closing thoughts. But Shatabish, would you like to come back to that, because you know the question will
have to
remain
stop this.
that
You
even
have to
if you
ensure
crack
that
the case, perhaps you're on the brink of already cracking this case. Let me give you the benefit that you've cracked the case, say, by tomorrow. But how do you prevent? Where is the
Exactly
prevention
that.
program?
See, Dayanand is going to crack the case.
You know,
He has
no,
got an excellent
but
team.
it's a question to the central government also. 30 to 40% is the conviction rate in rape, 28% in murders. How do you justify these figures?
How you justify is that you should appoint ADP.
I thought that was
Assistant Director of
Shatabish,
Prosecution,
let's also
judicial
listen in from what
officer,
Shatabish has said.
and-
Mr. Bhaskar Rao, Shatabish allowed you to speak. Give him time.
I appreciate the services of the BJP spokesperson in his capacity as commissioner. They have come up with several guidelines, several initiatives to ensure women's safety and women, that the environment is safe for them. And, the other activist, Cynthia, we all have to work collectively together to ensure that the criminal system that is already in place achieves its goals in a most fruitful manner. We can't indulge in this blame game. You're absolutely right with the fact that the Congress government and the Karnataka government has cracked the case almost, and they have, taken immediate and affirmative action to ensure that the perpetrators of crime are brought to justice. But how do you change the overall situation? How do you change the overall environment?
What are you going to
all
do for the next
activists,
one?
all
How are
stakeholders,
you going to
all
prevent
party
more
men?
Mahalakshmis and more
Sir,
Shraddhas
I did not
from being
interrupt you.
killed?
Please,
Right. Bhaskar,
please
please
have
allow
the
him
courtesy
time to
not
speak. I have to
interrupt
quickly
me.
wrap up this discussion now.
All members, all stakeholders must come together. We have a rule of law in this country.
Please bring them.
We
You
must
are in the
ensure that the
government. Please bring
criminal
them.
All
justice
right. Cynthia, I'm going to give you time to share your closing thoughts. As I was sharing the figures, when it
Without-
comes
without
to
any
the cases
interjection
of
from-
murder, 30 to 40% is the conviction rate. When it comes to rape, 28%. And at the same time, the kind of misogyny that accompanies whenever a woman is so brutally either raped or murdered, there's always a question of who she was living in with, who was she dating. How does one approach such cases, and how does one prevent?
Thank you for bringing that up. In fact, in your I would also like to bring a cautionary note to your media team as well. They have listed 4 so-called crimes, and I do not know whether that is part of the official naming of the crime or not. But there's a murder, rape, molestation, and there's something called eve teasing. Now, this term eve teasing is not to be used at all. It seems as if it's a light. It sort of makes light of a very serious public sexual harassment of women. This is what this so-called eve teasing is. Media also should not use such facetious language in referring to serious crimes, on the person of a woman, or the personhood of a
Cynthia,
woman.
the data we've shared, just to put it on record, is
Yeah.
the data that's been shared by the Karnataka State Police.
I agree, but that language is also faulty, and I think in bracket there should be an explainer that it really refers to sexual harassment. That's what we call it.
All right.
That's what it is in public. That is one. Secondly, and rightly so, it has been pointed out, the nature of the crime is that this person lost her life. What she did before or after is really her business. It's a private business. how she lived her life. We have no and the
Right. Perhaps the
of India
question
gives-
right now that needs to be probed is where has the society arrived and what is in fact
Exactly.
leading to this kind of brutality when we see such murders happening. The social media have a role to play. You know, what is in fact leading to this is the question. I think perhaps it's also a moment of introspection for what the society today in India is becoming. Many thanks to you, Cynthia, and the gentleman for joining in. On that note, let me quickly bring in Mr. Vikas Walkar, the father of Shraddha Walkar, who's joining us live on the broadcast. He still awaits justice for the brutal, heinous murder of Shraddha Walkar. Mr. Walkar, thank you so much for joining in. सबसे पहले तो मैं आपसे यही पूछना चाहूँगी, आज महालक्ष्मी का मर्डर जो कि दिल दहलाने वाला मर्डर है, श्रद्धा वलकर के मर्डर केस की भी उसको देख के याद आ गई है। आपको लगता है कि दोनों केसेस में कोई सिमिलैरिटीज़ हैं? आपको कोई ऐसी सिमिलैरिटीज़ दिखी इन दोनों मर्डर केसेस में?
या इसमें भी वही चीज की है उन्होंने, जैसे मेरे बेटी के पीसेस करके उसने फ्रिज भी रखे थे, वैसे ही इस केस में भी सेम हुआ है, तो ये एक सिमिलरिटी है उसमें।
सब यही पूछ रहे हैं कि इस केस में भी उतनी ही देरी लगेगी जितना श्रद्धा वलकर के केस में लग रही है। आपको लगता है दैट जस्टिस हैज बीन डिनाइड टू श्रद्धा वलकर एंड यू एज हर फादर?
ये तो मैं यही कह सकता हूँ कि जितना जल्दी होना चाहिए था वो हुआ नहीं है। एक तो मतलब मैंने अभी तक श्रद्धा का अंतिम संस्कार भी नहीं किया हुआ है, तो मुझे लगता है कि कहीं न कहीं ये लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का बहुत लैकिंग है इससे।
अभी हाल ही में ही जुलाई में स्पेशल फास्ट ट्रैक कोर्ट जो हैंडल कर रहा है श्रद्धा का केस, उन्होंने उधर के जज ने कहा है कि आफ्ताब पूनावाला केस को डिले करने की कोशिश कर रहा है। आपको क्या लगता है स्पीडी जस्टिस किस तरह आ सकता है? एक तो श्रद्धा के केस में भी देखा जाए तो फर्स्ट डिग्री मर्डर कहा जाएगा ये, ख़ास तौर से इस तरह के केसेस में स्पीडी जस्टिस हमेशा आज भी मिसिंग है, ऐसा क्यों?
जी हाँ, बहुत हद तक मतलब मैं कह सकता हूँ कोई ये डिफेंस के लिए ये अपने लॉ एंड ऑर्डर में बहुत ज़्यादा ही छूट दे रखी है। इस वजह से हम लोग इतना लंबा मतलब अभी ये केस तो कम से कम 1.5 साल के ऊपर हो गया केस, ये ट्रायल पे ही चल, तो अभी और कितना लंबा चलेगा वो तो पता नहीं है। इसका मतलब ये इसमें सब मतलब अपने कानून व्यवस्था ठीक से नहीं हो रही है, इसी की वजह से ये ऐसे इस तरह के वाकया हो रहे हैं बार बार।
जब आप कानून व्यवस्था की बात करते हैं तो ऐसे क्या लूपहोल्स आपको खुद महसूस हुए हैं हमारे देश के क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम में? आपकी समझ के हिसाब से उन लूपहोल्स, ये क्या लूपहोल्स हैं हमारे देश की कानून व्यवस्था में?
पहली बात तो ये जब भी डेट डिक्लेयर होते हैं तो हमेशा डिफेंस लॉयर को मैक्सिमम चांस दिए जाते हैं और वो बार बार उसी डेट्स को कैंसिल करते हैं, तो वो उसी जगह पे वो लंबा खींचते चले जाते हैं और कुछ न कुछ और कई रीजन से उसके वजह से वो लंबा होते जाता है।
जी, हाल ही में देखा गया है श्रद्धा का केस, अगर देखा जाए तो जो भी पढ़ रहे हैं वो आज यही जानना चाहेंगे कि जो इंडिपेंडेंट लिबरेटेड लड़कियां हैं, अपने आप रह रही हैं बड़े शहरों में, चाहे वो बेंगलुरु हो या फिर दिल्ली हो, उनकी सिक्योरिटी के बारे में कुछ नहीं किया जाता है। एक ऐसी लड़की के पिता के समान जिसका इतना ब्रूटल मर्डर हुआ, आप जो है महालक्ष्मी के पेरेंट्स को और उन सारी यंग लड़कियों को क्या संदेश देना चाहेंगे जो आज अपनी सिक्योरिटी के लिए काफ़ी परेशान रहती हैं, ख़ास तौर से मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज़ में?
मैं यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि अपने सरकार को इसके ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा सोचना चाहिए कि ये अपने लॉ एंड ऑर्डर ठीक से होना चाहिए, जल्दी से जल्दी, यानी कम से कम 2 महीने से 6 महीने के अंदर इस तरह की घटनाओं को अंजाम देना चाहिए, ताकि ये जो क्रिमिनल्स है इनकी हिम्मत नहीं बढ़ सके। यही मैं कहना चाहता हूँ।
आपकी इतनी लंबी लड़ाई हो गई है, मतलब ये पूरे जिस तरह आप इस पूरे केस के लिए लड़ रहे हैं, 2 साल हो गए हैं पर आज भी कोई जस्टिस नहीं मिला आपको। इसीलिए मैं ख़ास तौर से आपका क्या मैसेज होगा महालक्ष्मी के ग्रीविंग पेरेंट्स के लिए, वो आपकी लड़ाई से क्या सीख सकते हैं?
महिलाओं के लिए तो मैं हमेशा यही कहूंगा कि हमेशा अकेले ही नहीं रहना चाहिए, किसी के साथ रहना चाहिए। आप ज्यादा मतलब ये ऐसा चैलेंज लेते हैं कि आप खुद कुछ करेंगे, लेकिन वो ऐसा होता नहीं है। आपको हमेशा अपने फैमिली से जुड़े रहना चाहिए और फैमिली का रिस्पेक्ट करना चाहिए। और बस मैं अभी इसके बारे में तो मैं अभी यही कहूंगा कि ये जो क्रिमिनल्स है ये तो जब तक ये अपना कानून ठीक से नहीं बनेगा तब तक ये ऐसे ही करते रहेंगे। तो अपने आप को तैयार करना पड़ेगा अपना महिलाओं को।
जी विकास जी, हमसे बात करने के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। हमारी सांत्वना आपके साथ है और मैं आशा करती हूँ कि आपको अपनी बेटी के लिए और ख़ुद के लिए भी जल्द से जल्द जस्टिस मिले। And with that, let's now shift focus over to our second debate. Who knew that the famous prasadam from Tirupati, the Sri Laddu, will leave a bitter taste? Over the last week, the ghee-filled Sri Laddu, the prasadam or religious offering made to the deity of Sri Venkateswara at the Tirumala in Tirupati district, has been in the midst of a political storm. The ripple effect is now seen across India. While Lucknow's Mankameshwar temple has banned the market-bought offerings, Uttar Pradesh's Food Safety and Drug Administration has collected 13 samples of prasadam from temples in Mathura, Vrindavan and Govardhan for testing. For a country where the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857 was sparked by the use of pig and cow fat in the grease for rifle cartridges, offending Muslim and Hindu troops, has the previous government of Andhra Pradesh failed to protect the Hindu Astha? And is the Tirupati incident, where the TTD's consistent lackadaisical approach has now come to light, is it symptomatic of the larger concern regarding the culturally sensitive management of temples? That's a question we'll also be probing in just a bit. But first up, let's also tell you what has transpired in the Tirupati temple row. Andhra Pradesh government has appointed the SIT to probe the Tirumala ghee adulteration allegations. A 4-hour Shanti Panchagave Prokshana, or the ritualistic sanitization ritual, has been performed to undo the alleged desecration which was carried out in Tirumala. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Naidu has announced that a cleansing process will soon be initiated across the temples in the state. Jagan Mohan Reddy has written to the Prime Minister urging him to intervene and reprimand Chief Minister Naidu. Also, Jagan has referred to Naidu as a habitual liar. Former Tirumala Board Chairperson Y.V. Subba Reddy has also approached the Supreme Court seeking the formation of an independent committee to probe the allegations surrounding the Tirupati Prasadam. Tirupati Board has in the meantime submitted its report to the Chandrababu Naidu government. In its report, here's what it states. The TTD has highlighted that suppliers were supplying poor quality ghee which lacks aroma and even taste. TTD has warned the existing suppliers to improve quality of the ghee. Despite warning, the board through physical inspection has found that the ghee is of poor quality. Testing has also revealed that animal fats including lard are present. Adulteration testing equipment was also not installed even though it costs 75 lakhs. The Tirumala Prasadam Rao has reignited free temple debate. Andhra's Deputy Chief Minister Pawan Kalyan has also called for Sanatan Dharma Rakshana Board at the national level to look into all the issues that are related to temples in entire India. Vishwa Hindu Parishad has also wanted Hindu temples to be handed over to the society to safeguard sentiments of the devotees. Shri Shri Ravi Shankar is echoing similar views, saying that we need to have a committee of spiritual leaders to manage temples just like other religious boards. Spiritual leader Sadhguru has said that it is time the Hindu temples are run by devout Hindus, not by government administration. Here are some interesting facts as well. The NSSO survey has estimated that temple economy is worth 3.2 lakh crore rupees, or about $40 billion, and 2.32% of the GDP. With this, we come to the big question: should states really continue to oversee temples?
I am doing three angles. One is, first of all, purification, prokshanam, that they will conduct according to traditions, Agama Sampradayam. Second, I am ordering an inquiry, IGP level or more than that. Then the team will establish the facts. Finally, all temples, all prayer places, respect to religious people only will work.
और इसी तरह की बात हमारे वृंदावन में भी सुनने को मिली है, जहाँ पे सही किस्म का खोए का इस्तेमाल नहीं हो रहा है या उसमें भी मिलावट हो रही है। तो मैं समझती हूँ कि अब इस डिपार्टमेंट को कुछ काम करना चाहिए, क्योंकि सरकार भारतीय जनता पार्टी है तो उनको पूरी जिम्मेदारी के साथ इस पे काम करवाना चाहिए।
आज एक अच्छी पहल हम लोगों ने ये करी है कि कोशिश करिए, अब देखिए कितना पालन ये लोग कर पाते हैं। गर्भगृह में बाहरी जो प्रसाद आएगा वो अंदर नहीं जाएगा, और आग्रह हम लोगों ने सारे श्रद्धालुओं से, भक्तजनों से और जो भी मंदिर तक आते हैं दर्शन हेतु।
All right, we're getting in breaking inputs. In fact, we are learning that the former TTD chairperson, Bhumana Karunakar Reddy, was prevented by the police from completing his oath at the Akhilandam after performing the sacred bath at Pushkarini. This is the latest input that we are bringing to you. There was high drama outside Tirumala, and former TTD chairperson is now facing the heat as well. What we are learning is that he was prevented by the police from completing his oath. Let's quickly go across to Swastika Das, who brings us more input. Swastika, first things first, why was he being stopped from taking oath?
Law and order situation. Remember, Tirumala is a site which receives pilgrims to the tune of 70,000 at least every single day. And in order to avoid any kind of untoward incident, considering how the story has in fact rendered a heavy blow and has raised questions on the administration of the former TTD board, of which Karunakar Reddy was in fact the chairman, the current government dispensation and the administration didn't want to take any risk, and that's the reason why they barred him from doing any kind of ritual within the temple premises.
All right. Many thanks to you, Swastika, for bringing in all those inputs. And with that, let's quickly introduce our guests today who are joining in on Plain Speak today. I'm joined in by Vinusha Reddy, who is the spokesperson for BJP in Andhra Pradesh, Manoj Yadav, who is the spokesperson for the Samajwadi Party, Narayan Murthy, who is the spokesperson for the YSRCP, and Vishnu Shankar Jain, who is a renowned advocate. In fact, if I could quickly begin with the Samajwadi Party spokesperson, Manoj Yadav. Manoj ji, first of all, I'd like to ask you, why is Dimple Yadav calling this a food control issue? Is this really just a food control issue?
निश्चय ही जिस तरीके की घटना हैदराबाद में, आंध्र प्रदेश में घटी, वही घटना पूरे देश में कमोबेशी, चूंकि श्रद्धालुओं की संख्या लगातार बढ़ती जा, और ये अब आस्था की जगह धीरे धीरे व्यापार का जगह लेता जा रहा है। जो हमारी आस्था है, जो हमारी श्रद्धा है, जो हमारा विश्वास है मंदिर के प्रति, जो हम प्रसाद को अमृत के भाव में समझते हैं, वो नंबर्स बढ़ने से वो धीरे धीरे व्यापार की तरफ चले, और व्यापार ऐसा जिसमें कुछ भी किया जा सकता। इसलिए मैं आचार्य जी बिल्कुल स्पष्ट हूँ, समाजवादी पार्टी, क्योंकि हमने बात मथुरा की है, वृंदावन की है, वहां पे प्रतिदिन लाखों लोग आते हैं, तो लाखों लोग प्रसाद चढ़ाते हैं। तो क्या वहां का जो फूड इंस्पेक्टर है, जो या जिले का खाद्य सिस्टम को देखने वाले अधिकारी हैं, या उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार, उस पे अब तक क्या किया गया है? क्या सिर्फ सिंबॉलिक रूप से भगवान कृष्ण की वहां की लड़ाई, मंदिर बनने की लड़ाई लड़ने के लिए योगी आदित्यनाथ और यहाँ की सरकार है, या फिर जो हमारी आस्था है, भावना है, जो हम विश्वास करते हैं, उस प्रसाद को अमृत स्वरूप मानते हैं, उस प्रसाद की शुद्धता पे अगर सवाल उठाया जा रहा है, तो इस पे सरकार को जवाब देना पड़ेगा। और अगर आकांक्षा जी ये सरकार जवाब नहीं देती, तो मैं एक बात स्पष्ट हूं कि इस सरकार ने हमारी आस्था को, हमारे विश्वास को, शुद्धता को पूंजीपतियों के हवाले कर।
पर मनोज जी, आप किस सरकार की बात कर रहे हैं? आप जगन मोहन रेड्डी की सरकार की बात कर रहे हैं, आप चंद्रबाबू नायडू की सरकार की बात कर रहे हैं?
मैं इस विषय पे किसी को नहीं छोड़ रहा।
नहीं, आपने सरकार बोला तो मैं जानना चाहूंगी, व्यूअर भी जानना चाहेगा किस सरकार की बात कर रहे हैं आप।
देखिए अगर जगन मोहन रेड्डी की सरकार के दौरान इस तरह की चीजें हो तो ये जांच करी जाए कि आखिर उन्होंने ऐसे मानकों के आधार पे चीजें क्यों बनने दी जो इस देश की एक बड़ी आबादी की भावनाओं को आहत करता। उनको शुद्धि अशुद्धि और ये तमाम सारी चीजें उन पे सवाल उठाए गए। तो मैं सारी सरकारों पे सवाल उठा रहा हूं, जो जहां सत्ता में है वो ये काम करे। और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट पे भी मेरा आकांक्षा जी सवाल इसलिए कि बहुत बड़ी बड़ी बातें ये सरकार करती है, देश के पूरे मैकेनिज्म को सही करने की बात करती है और श्रद्धा पे, विश्वास पे, आस्था पे, धर्म पे, ईश्वर पे तो इन्होंने पीएचडी कर रखी है। उस पे आखिर इनका कोई अब तक
All right, Mr. Murthy, if I could bring you in, there's been a lot of political blame game, especially over the weekend that we've seen. There was also a letter shot by Jagan Mohan Reddy to the Prime Minister, in which he's, of course, talking about how Mr. Chandrababu Naidu has been defaming and politicizing the entire issue. But, you know, there are certain questions which even Jagan Mohan Reddy has not been able to answer in terms of why the KMF was stopped from supplying milk, why was there not any kind of adequate quality testing, which, by the way, according to the rules is also mandated, having non-Hindus to be running the temple trust. These are all questions that the devotees of the temple are also perhaps seeking answers to. Mr. Murthy, can you hear me?
Yeah. See, now, Jagan Mohan Reddy not answered, you said. It's wrong, in fact. Take back that word. Jagan Mohan Reddy.
No, I'm saying that the devotees are looking for answers. Why was the KMF stopped from supplying meat?
That's what I'm telling you.
Supplying milk, and why was there not?
Allegations made by Chandrababu Naidu. Allegations made by Chandrababu Naidu. Proofless and baseless allegations to confuse Hindu devotees. They confuse Lord Venkateswara devotees. To hurt Lord Venkateswara devotees is making temple as a not clean. Not see, Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam is the topmost temple in world. He is spoiling the brand of Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam brand and spoiling brand of Andhra Pradesh for his own self-interest. To divert the politically, he is failed. He is unable to deliver whatever he said in 2024 election promises. So now, one side, Visakhapatnam steel plant is getting privatized, and other way there are many attacks happening, misuse of law happening in Andhra Pradesh, murders are happening in Andhra Pradesh, manabhangas happening in Andhra Pradesh, not able to control all those things. The flood relief not able to done by the government.
Again, you're digressing from the questions that I posed. No, but what about the questions which are right now at the center of this entire controversy? The KMF being stopped from supplying milk, the lack of rigorous testing. There are allegations that there were non-Hindus who were running
this government
the
responsible for that.
All right, Vinusha Reddy, you hear what the defense coming in is. All right. Let me also bring in Vinusha. Vinusha has been very patiently awaiting her turn. Vinusha, first of all, should this even entire matter, is this even in the ambit of just food control? Because you're looking at a TTD which was running the hem of affairs over there back then. Who is responsible?
Yeah. Akanksha, thanks for having me. And here I will come to the questions which are, whatever the response which was given by the YSRCP leader. The simple question what I want to pose here is, Akanksha, can you imagine anyone getting pure cow ghee at a cost of ₹320 rupees? Is it possible these days? And these people, after coming into the power, have insulted Hindus in. Sir, I have listened to you patiently. I have listened to you patiently. Akanksha,
Mr. Narayan Murthy, please allow the lady to speak. Mr. Murthy, please allow. Right. Mr. Murthy, I'll give you time to come up with a rebuttal. Please allow her to speak. Yes,
yeah.
Vinusha.
In the previous regime of Jagan Mohan Reddy government, you will be shocked to know, Akanksha, Andhra Pradesh was the only state which was paying for priests belonging to one particular region, pastors. In the previous government, Andhra Pradesh was the only state in which Panchayati Raj department was calling for tenders for the construction of churches. In the previous regime of Jagan Mohan Reddy government, Andhra Pradesh was the only state where that exemption was made completely. There was a previous rule that 10% of the funds should be collected for church construction. All that was exempted. and totally government was constructing the churches. Have you ever heard anything like that? Government paying taxpayers' money to the pastors? All these things have happened in the previous government. Apart from that, they have converted Hindu temples all over the state into some sort of business. They have levied so many common good tax, so many taxes for all temples, including Sri Venkateswara Swami Mutt, and they have put for auction all temple lands. Venkateswara Swami Mutt. This is not the first time. This is not the first time the government of the previous regime has tried.
No, but Vinusha, then by that, then going by those allegations, why not? In fact, the VHP has been talking about how the Supreme Court should take suo motu cognizance. Why not go ahead with a court-monitored probe? Why just go by what the SIT, why constitute an SIT? Just go ahead with the Supreme Court and let it be a fair investigation. Let me quickly bring in Vishnu. Vishnu, Dimple Yadav has said that this is the failure of the food department. Do you also think that it's a failure of the food department alone, or is this also consistent disrespect towards Hindu Astha? Because she's also talking about how this is happening in Vrindavan and checks should be conducted in Mathura, and there are reports which go on to highlight similar incidents happening elsewhere as well. The allegations always been that in opposition ruled states, there's always such incidents happening. Why aren't we able to protect the Hindu Astha? But first, I'd like your thoughts on what Dimple said.
See, first of all, we have to understand that the manufacturing of prasadam in every devasthanam must be, let's talk on first principles, must be within the domain of the temple trust, and temple trust must comprise of the devotees. This is my point number one. Temple trust must not comprise of the government officials. So if the temple trust, whether it is Vrindavan, whether it is a TTD, if the temple trust is comprising of the government officials and the people who are belonging to other faith, such things are going to happen. That's point number one. Now let me also give you one very important example, and I want to quote the Honorable Supreme Court here. I want to quote the Honorable Andhra Pradesh High Court here. Same thing happened in the case of Sri Shailam Mallikarjun, which is one of the 12 Jyotirlings. Now at paragraph 80 of this judgment, which is reported a judgment of the Honorable Andhra Pradesh High Court in Sri Shailam case, what has been recorded, and I quote, in the case on hand, on account of acts of occupants of shops who are non-Hindus, there is possibility of disturbing public order. Right. Apart from that, distribution of beef, mutton and other non-vegetarian, or at least eating non-vegetarian in the temple. Point taken,
but Vishnu, how do you weigh in on the accusation that particularly it's being observed there's lackadaisical approach whenever it comes to Hindus, whether it is halal certified jaggery packets being used as prasadam in Sabrimala, or Mamata Banerjee's government restricting?
As far as Vrindavan is concerned, let me tell you about Bake Bihari temple. First of all, Bake Bihari temple is being worshipped by the Shibayats through hereditary Shibayatship. It is not within the control of the government. So if Dimple Yadav is trying to make an allegation on Bake Bihari temple and the Shibayats there of Bake Bihari temple, keeping in view or keeping in mind the perception that it is within the government control, I think she needs to correct her facts, because Bake Bihari temple is not within the government control. That is point number one. Point number two is that I have seen this trend of late, that so far as Hindu Astha, whenever it is an issue, whether it's a national issue or whether it's a state issue, there is no cognizance which is being taken, because kindly see the historical background. We are living in a country where in 1856, because of Greece cartages, a Sepoy mutiny happened, when this beef and pork was fed to the military, to the people who were a part of British Army.
Point taken. Quickly, Manoj Yadav, I'd like your response. But many are also wondering that whenever it comes to Hindu Astha, जब यूपी पुलिस के डायरेक्टिव्स आए थे कावड़ियों के लिए कि उनको सात्विक भोजन परोसने के लिए वो ढाबे, सबसे पहले समाजवादी पार्टी ने ही अपनी आवाज़ उठाई थी कि आप कंट्री के सेक्युलर फैब्रिक को चैलेंज कर रहे हैं. इज इट नॉट टाइम दैट यू सेग्रीगेट योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ सेक्युलर फैब्रिक वर्सेस हिंदू सेंटिमेंट्स, ऑल्सो हिंदू आस्था?
नहीं, देखिए आकांक्षा जी, जो बात अभी हमारे साथी कह गए कि वो गवर्नमेंट को नहीं करता है, वहां गवर्नमेंट का कोई मतलब नहीं है, तो कानून के जानकार हैं, वकील साहब हैं, इन्हें तो पता होना चाहिए. आपने भी सवाल उठाया, मैंने भी सवाल. आखिर फूड डिपार्टमेंट क्या कर रहा है? ये तो उसकी जिम्मेदारी है, हर दुकान पे जाना, उसका फूड का सैंपल लेना, चेक करना कि इसमें किस चीज की क्या मात्रा है। तो हमने कौन सा गलत सवाल रेज कर दिया? आदरणीय डिम्पल जी ने तो बिल्कुल सही बात बताई। और वहां पे इतनी गैदरिंग है, इसके आधार पे वो मिल्क कहाँ से आ रहा है, वो चीजें कहाँ बन रही। मेरा तो एक सुझाव है सरकारों को, और बहुत सिंपल सा सुझाव है, नेचुरल चीजें इस्तेमाल की जानी चाहिए ईश्वर के प्रसाद के रूप में, जो नेचुरल, जो हमें।
All right, Vinusha Reddy, I want to bring you in quickly. Article 26B of the Indian Constitution categorically states the right to run your own religious affairs. And examples or rather comparisons are also being made with churches and mosques. Is it time that Hindus, give this to a temple committee perhaps, or a Sanatan Dharma board, as has already been demanded by the Deputy CM Pawan Kalyan in Andhra Pradesh?
Akanksha ji, one thing I want to say is, as Bharatiya Janata Party, we always followed and upheld the principles of secularism, and we stand up to them. That means treating the Hindus equally, if not like second-grade citizens, as was happening in the previous regime. And now a discussion has started nationwide, and our Deputy Chief Minister has asked for it, and he has also returned to the Prime Minister. And let us see what happens next. But one thing is sure: if there is any party which wants all religions to be treated equally in this country, it is only Bharatiya Janata Party. And I am wondering, all the while the Samajwadi Party person was speaking, the Dimple Yadav has questioned. I just want to ask, what was Dimple Yadav doing, and why is not she questioning her allies? If you say DMK, which wants to destroy and eradicate Sanatan Dharma, I think she should question them also. And there is one more ally, when you see in the form of Mamata Banerjee, who obstructs every day. And there is one more ally, if you go Tejashwi Yadav, he goes on during the Navaratri Puja, consuming the non-veg and uploading the videos. And Rahul Gandhi,
I'm glad that we have in fact raised this issue, and perhaps it is time that Hindu temple management become a reality and a proper framework be worked upon by the Indian government, and that also includes perhaps not just states. It is also the centre's responsibility. I'm sure you all will agree to that. Many thanks to you, Vinusha, and the gentleman for joining in. And with that, it's a quick wrap from my end. Thank you so much for watching Play and Speak. Up next is the Hard Facts with Rahul Shivshankar.
At L'Oréal Group,
Prime Minister also met the Crown Prince of Kuwait, and in fact Prime Minister thanked Crown Prince of Kuwait for taking care of Indian diaspora, because Kuwait has largest Indian diaspora. Back to you.
Absolutely. Also, Siddhant, since you mentioned semiconductor, there has been a very, very crucial deal between India and US that's been inked as far as the semiconductor fabrication plants. This is going to give a lot of impetus, not just to technological development, but also towards national security. Let's first take a look at what the Prime Minister had to say about semiconductors, and then I'll come back to you, Siddhant.
सेमीकंडक्टर में हम $15 बिलियन का एडिशनल इन्वेस्टमेंट करने की दिशा में हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। दुनिया भर से भी, जैसा मैंने कहा, इन्वेस्टमेंट आ रहा है, और भारत का प्राइवेट सेक्टर भी इन दिनों में काफी इस मात्रा में निवेश कर रहा है। हाल ही हुए हमने एक सेमिकॉन इंडिया समिट की, आप में से कुछ साथी उसमें थे भी। भारत के पास ग्लोबल सेमीकंडक्टर इकोसिस्टम सप्लाई चेन में एक रिलायबल और क्रेडिबल पार्टनर बनने की पूरी क्षमता है। आज हमारा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सेक्टर $150 बिलियन से ज्यादा का है। हमारा लक्ष्य इसे 2030 में $500 बिलियन तक ले जाने का है, ताकि इस सेक्टर में 6 मिलियन नई जॉब्स की हम आपूर्ति कर सकते हैं।
Received a grand welcome there from the Indian diaspora, where he emphasized that the day is near when Americans will see the Made in India chip. Now, after addressing the Indian diaspora, Prime Minister Modi also held the Tech CEOs Roundtable in New York and discussed India's vast potential and opportunities that the country can offer in these sectors. Remember, he'd also held separate talks with world leaders, including his Nepalese counterpart KP Sharma Oli, also Kuwait Crown Prince and the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, reaffirming India's support for Palestinian people. And now he's all set to be addressing the Summit of the Future at the UNGA.
AI है जो भारत को ड्राइव कर रही है, और वो कौन सा और है? वो है A for aspirational, I for India, एस्पिरेशनल इंडिया। साथियों, हमने वुमेन वेलफेयर के साथ ही विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट पर फोकस किया है। एक तरफ दुनिया के कई देशों के बीच संघर्ष है, तनाव है, तो दूसरी तरफ कई देशों में डेमोक्रेसी का जश्न चल रहा है। आज जब भारत ग्लोबल प्लेटफॉर्म पर कुछ कहता है तो दुनिया सुनती है। Initiative on critical and emerging technology, ISET इंक्लूसिव इनोवेशन के लिए हमारे साझा कमिटमेंट का प्रतीक है।
The forum that sets the national agenda is back.
When there are elections in a country and they give you results you don't like, you call them electoral autocracy.
With an unmatched legacy across India's important cities.
There is no such thing as a BJP foreign policy or a Congress foreign policy. There's only India's foreign policy.
Featuring policymakers at the heart of shaping the nation and economy.
It was this government which has amended the minimum alternative tax.
Alongside India's most iconic voices from diverse fields.
सोनू के टीटू की स्वीटी वो फिल्म थी जिसने मुझे घरों तक पहुंचाया।
Bangalore is absolutely the startup capital of the country.
To spark debate and engage in uninhibited conversations.
एकनाथ जी मुख्यमंत्री बनेंगे, ये बात तो मुझे पहले से पता थी।
In the only town hall that matters and about to get bigger, better and more impactful. CNN News 18 Town Hall.
कई साथियों से मैं पहले भी मिला हूं। भारत आपकी ग्रोथ स्टोरी से फैमिलियर है और हम उस पर ट्रस्ट भी करते हैं। आज का भारत एम्बिशियस सपने देखता है और उन्हें पूरा करने का भरसक प्रयास भी करता है। आज भारत विश्व की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी है, विश्व की सबसे तेजी से ग्रो करने वाली इकोनॉमी है और मैं पक्का मानता हूं कि मेरा ये जो तीसरा कार्यकाल है उसमें हम 3rd लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी का हमारा जो गोल है उसको हम अचीव कर लेंगे।
My colleague Siddhant is with us on the broadcast. Siddhant, this is day 2 of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. We are, of course, waiting for him to address the UNGA, which is called the Summit of the Future. First of all, what can be expected will be his line there as far as the Prime Minister is concerned? Is it going to be taking a cue from what was discussed at the Quad Summit of all the 4 world leaders?
Well, Greha, as far as Summit of the Future address of Prime Minister Modi is concerned, it's going to be very, very significant. In fact, we could see Prime Minister touching upon his visits to Russia and Ukraine. We could also expect Prime Minister Modi to give message of peace from that dais. And in fact, the sources have also confirmed to me that there is going to be something big on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Prime Minister would not only touch upon the conflict, but he could possibly give some kind of a solution also to the world, how peace can be restored in Europe. And the second focus of Prime Minister Modi is going to be the concerns of the countries from the global South area, because India just organized Global South Summit in the month of August. In that, Prime Minister heard the concerns, the problems of the countries from the global South, and India is projecting itself right now as a strong voice of global South. So we could expect Prime Minister Modi to perhaps tell the world what countries from global South are going through, how the wars have impacted these countries, and how important it is to restore peace so that the economy can boom. These countries should not be left out because right now, Griha, these countries are at a risk of being left out from the global growth momentum. So that would perhaps also be the Prime Minister's talking point in the address. So all eyes are going to be on that key address of Prime Minister Modi at Summit of the Future.
Right, and he's also just been part of that Tech CEOs roundtable. He has underlined about India's own growth story, India's technological prowess. He talks about how very soon India is going to be touching upon the 6G technology. About all of that, Siddhant, considering many of those CEOs were important faces, and that too Indo-American faces.
Viewers, we all know that the great Western Renaissance idea of separating church and state was imposed on India by our British colonial masters. A majority of Indians who served the British enthusiastically signed up to the idea. It was called secularism. These Indians thought that adopting Western mores was a sign of progressivism. The ideals of Western civilization, I dare say, were considered sophisticated, better than the ideals of our Indic value systems that we were all taught to look down upon. None of the Indians who got swept up by British propaganda paused to think or ask themselves why the British that insisted on foisting secularism upon us never made an express constitutional commitment to the idea themselves. Even today, our erstwhile quote civilizer unquote remains an Anglican state, a Christian state. Secularism evolved in the West because society was steeped in religious dogma. The king or monarch ruled in the name of God, and naturally the state's laws and institutions were infused with religiosity. But some in the West figured that for reason and a spirit of inquiry to flourish and to propel social and technological advancement, society had to be freed from the stranglehold of religious dogma. There had to be a separation of church and state. In India, from the very beginning of time, society was guided by Sanatana or Hindu Dharma. As we know, Dharma is a universal code of ethics, of morality and righteous conduct. It isn't a religion. No one is bound by it. It is open to question. And that's the principal reason why Hindu tradition is the most accepting, inclusive and inherently plural. In fact, India would have been secular despite the British, which is why